I want to ask Amparo um, about her experience with discovering that she had diabetes.
I was the kind of person who loved Pepsi, and I don't know if anyone else out there, has been addicted to soda. Sugar is awful. It is a horrible drug. I don't think that people even
Number one drug.
understand.
Yes.
I don't think people understand how addictive it is. I used to smoke cigarettes, and I think that I probably craved Pepsi, more than I craved Newports. But
Hmm.
in any event, it was not uncommon for me to have a Pepsi instead of, drinking tea in the morning, to have a Pepsi with my lunch, to have a Pepsi with dinner, and then, oh, right before I went to bed, like another Pepsi. And that also didn't talk about the pasta I was eating. And pizza is my favorite food on planet Earth. So I had been working as a human resources executive. And at that point in my life, I had been working in HR for 28 years. And there were a few different really life altering things that were happening with me, certainly with my decision to no longer work in HR in corporate. And that was very stressful. Certainly, it was during COVID. And being able to get people to come to work and trying to recruit people to get into a nursing home to come into work, it was, next to impossible. And so there was a lot of stress on me about that. And of course, I loved soda, so I wasn't even thinking about any of these things. Fast forward to, I'm going to say about November and last year. And I remember I called my best friend, and she was a nurse, and my mother was a doctor before she passed away. And normally she would have been the person who I would have called. But um, I knew that my mother always lectured me about drinking Pepsi. I used to hide them when she would come over. So um, I told my girlfriend, I asked her, I said, what does it mean when you have to go to the bathroom a lot? And she goes, well, what do you mean a lot? And I said, well, it's like I'm going to the bathroom. I might drink half of a can of soda, and I'm going to the bathroom like every 15 minutes. And she's like, full going to the back, totally full bladder, everything. So she goes, that sounds like diabetes. And I was like, oh, no way. I don't have diabetes. That can't. Oh, she's talking, all types of foolishness, right? And so a couple of days went by, and this just kept happening. As a matter of fact, Kat had a fashion show that I was actually photographing. And I went to the fashion show, and I remember on the way there, just for me to get from my home to Brooklyn, I had to get off and actually go to the bathroom in the street because I couldn't make the commute, that hour-long commute. That's how bad I had to go to the bathroom, like all the time, every half an hour. So one night I wake up and I say to my son, it's time to go to school. And he looks at me and he said, Mom, it's 2:45 in the morning. I don't remember anything else after that. I went into a diabetic shock. I was in a coma for 4 days and had no idea that I had diabetes, had no idea that all of these things were going on in my body. So finally, of course, Kat is texting me and emailing me and going, what happened to the pictures and what's going on? And so finally I call her and I go, what? They just told me I have diabetes. And I was feeling really horrible about it. The fact that all of the things that they tell you, oh, it's because, you eat horribly and that makes you feel bad. And it's because, you don't exercise enough and that makes you feel bad. And so I remember very distinctly, I was feeling awful. And she said to me, you might have diabetes, but diabetes doesn't have you. You have to be able to kind of rise above this and eat healthy, and you will be able to get past this. And I remember initially going, what do you mean I can get past this? Like, I can't have pizza. I can no pizza. What do you mean I'm going to get past this? But slowly but surely, and certainly with, talking to people like Kat, who certainly helped to guide my experience, I'm doing things like this now, and these are a treat, but this is zero sugar soda. I never thought in my life that I would ever even think about doing zero sugar soda or diet soda. I don't drink diet soda. I only drink zero sugar, but lots of water. I couldn't
Yes.
believe that I was never ever before. I would never drink a bottle of water. it was just all Pepsi all the time. So no wonder I went into diabetic shock. And I would love for anyone to guess what my glucose level was when I went to the hospital, because this is absolutely amazing. I should have been dead. I see
800,
some
900.
800, 900, keep going higher.
Okay.
It was 1700. They said that like my organs were starting to shut down, all of those things that happen to you when you have a blood sugar that's that outrageous. And I didn't know because, of course, I wasn't going and following up with my doctor true to form with what Kat was saying. I'm going, oh, well, this might be bothering me or that might be bothering me, or I have to go to the bathroom a lot, but I'm not going to go to my doctor. Like, why go and check? And even after my best friend said to me, that sounds like diabetes. You need to go have that checked out. I'm like, I got this
Can't
photo
be
shoot to go
diabetes.
to.
Do you find that Amparo's story is similar to a lot of of your patients that you people that you, Donna, come across?
Yeah, I think, a lot of people ignore signs and symptoms. And I think you probably had them on Amparo and you just probably didn't even put two and two together, like you said. And then finally you asked your mom, right? Or you asked a nurse friend of yours. So you see that oftentimes, you're so busy and you're thinking, oh, maybe it's a bladder infection, maybe it's this, or I'm thirsty. Sometimes they just don't put the picture together, right? And then all of a sudden, they get the diagnosis. Sometimes, with younger people, it comes on more drastic, and they have, a severe, they maybe go into a coma or whatever, and it's severe. People with type 2, sometimes it's really insidious. It takes a long time. They're not feeling good. They feel like tired, fatigued. I've heard a spectrum of different things, and at the end, they're all surprised. I can't believe I had diabetes. And then when they stop to think, they say, wow, I should have realized it. I had these signs and symptoms and I ignored it. And that's probably the best message that they give their loved ones, or they give like friends and family, don't ignore symptoms. Get to your doctor, have that conversation with your doctor, get screened, get tested, and all of those things are so very important.
Can I just add one more
Yeah.
thing to one thing that she had mentioned? The thirst. You become so incredibly thirsty. It is an insane thirst. And and so what I was doing that was backwards was I was going, oh my gosh, I'm thirsty. And I go grab a can of Pepsi. And I go, oh my gosh, I'm thirsty again. I guess I need another Pepsi. And in one day, the day that I went into that diabetic shock, I think I had 3 Pepsis. I had one of those culottes from Dunkin' Donuts. I had a smoothie. I had like all types of pizza, all sugar, 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 sugar.
Yeah.
And now I haven't had pizza in like, oh my God, I miss it.
You could have pizza. Yeah.
My doctor told me every now and then just to make sure that I manage it so that I'm not, eating pizza every other day and going, yeah, well, I'll take a blood spike and that's okay.
I just wonder how your menopause is affecting now that you know about your diabetes, how that hormonal like cocktail, how are you dealing with that?
What's interesting is that prior to all of this, you talk about stress and all of the things that, you do to your body. My job, of course, being, the vice president of human resources, it's a very stressful job. It's extremely stressful. Yeah. And you don't think about the fact that you don't eat and then your belly is extending and you're going, well, why do I have this tire around here if I'm not eating? And you don't realize it's the cortisol, it's it's all of those different things. And I think I wasn't educated enough about it. So certainly here I am with my master's degrees and certifications in human resources, and really was not, as soon as my mother and my father were very, very strict. So this is definitely something that I want to make sure that I point out too. My parents were extremely strict. And so the moment that I got out of their house, they wouldn't allow me to eat sugar, anything, cornflakes and Cheerios and no soda in the house. So the moment I was able to live by myself, I went like crazy, Fruit Loops every night for dinner. And, it was ridiculous. And so I never really learned how to manage eating well because I just wanted to eat everything that they told me I couldn't, but I acted like that. I was, that happened to me. I was 48 years old and eating like I was 14. But I also just want to add in there that I had experienced, because I was having so many other medical issues, I actually had a ruptured ovary and had to have an emergency hysterectomy. And so they ended up leaving one of my ovaries in so that I would be able to go through menopause. And so what's interesting is that I'm always going, well, am I going through menopause because I'm hot today? Or there's just not enough information about it. And the way that my mother talked to me about menopause was that she didn't talk about it. It was kind of like, that's a lady's business.
Divabetic. It's all about attitude.